Hey everybody, it's Ms. Schmeg with lesson 4.6 on congruence in right triangles. For today, our learning target is going to be I can prove triangles congruent using the hypotenuse leg theorem. So hypotenuse leg theorem only works for right triangles, so just make sure that you're keeping that in mind as we move forward in today's lesson. So for theorem 4.6, it's the hypotenuse leg theorem, or the HL theorem. What it's saying is if the hypotenuse and a leg of one right triangle are congruent to the hypotenuse and a leg of another right triangle, then they are congruent. So what that's going to look like, if I draw another triangle up here, okay, you're going to have a triangle that would look something like this. Okay, so you're going to have two triangles where either legs are congruent and then the hypotenuse is congruent, and they have to be right triangles, so they're going to have those right angles. So given that WJ and KZ are congruent, and then angle W and angle K are right angles, then it wants us to say that the triangles that are then congruent. So what you're going to say is you're going to start with your given, and then obviously you would write this statement on this line here. And then your proof statement is always going to go at the end. So you're going to say triangle JWZ is congruent to triangle ZKJ. Okay, so what you're going to say then is you're going to say, I'm going to number my angles just to make it a little bit easier, but I'm going to say angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. And my reason for that is going to be all right angles are congruent. Okay, and then you're going to say that JZ is congruent to JZ. And your reason for that is going to be the reflexive property. Okay, so now we have two pieces of congruent information. We have this piece, and this piece. So we can say that the triangles are congruent, and it's going to be because of the hypotenuse leg postulate. Okay, so then moving down, we are going to start with our given information again. Okay, and then your given information is going to be all of this would go on line 1 here. Okay, and then what you're going to say is you are going to say that we have right angles in these corners. And your reason is going to be definition of perpendicular. That's what that upside down T means. Okay, and so you're going to say that, we'll just say angle B equals 90 degrees. And angle E equals 90 degrees. And that's definition of perpendicular. So then you can say that angle B is congruent to angle E because all right angles are congruent. And then you're going to write your proof statement. So it's going to be triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. And your reason is going to be hypotenuse leg again. Okay, so then moving down to this last section here, what additional information, if any, do you need to prove each pair of triangles congruent by hypotenuse leg? So on this number 3 here, we have that the legs are congruent, we have the hypotenuses are congruent, but we are missing that these angles are congruent. So you can either write it or you can draw it in. Doesn't matter each way. And then number 4, we have the right angles, and then we have 2 of the legs that are congruent. So what we're missing is the hypotenuses being congruent. So we're just missing this part here. Okay, and then number 5, we're missing a right angle on this side. We're missing these markings because of the reflexive property. Okay, and then what we are missing then is we are going to need the hypotenuses to be congruent. So I'm going to say that these 2 lines need to be congruent. Okay, then number 6, we know that these are congruent because of the reflexive property. So then what we're missing is we just need 2 of the legs to be congruent.